Now, how to receive the messages that are available in Service Bus? For that, you can use Service Bus Receiver or a Service Bus Processor. We will be using a Service Bus Processor because we want it to automatically get all of the messages and create a process for that. So right here, we will have to create a new private. The type will be Service Bus Processor. We will give this a name of Checkout Processor, because that is exactly what this processor will be doing. When someone hits the checkout button, a message will be posted on the service bus, and the checkout processor is responsible for reading that message. In order to use the service bus processor, we first need to create a service bus client. We will do that inside the constructor. Right here, we'll say variable client is equal to new service bus client. And here we have to pass the connection string that we already have inside the local variable service bus connection string. So that will create a client. On that client, we have to instantiate the checkout processor. So we'll say checkout processor is equal to client dot. We have a method that to create a processor which expects a queue name. Now in our case, we are not using queues. We are using topics and subscription. So if you examine the overload methods here, we have a method that expects a topic name and a subscription name. Topic name we already have in checkout message topic, and the subscription name is in the variable subscription name. Now here you can be more descriptive. We can say this is the subscription name for checkout, because let's say you have more than one subscriptions. So that will be confusing. We can just call this subscription checkout and remove the name as well. Once you do that, make sure you copy and change inside the app settings as well. We'll make this a capital S, and perfect. Looks good. Here we will be getting the subscription checkout. So our processor is created. All we have to do is start this processor, and we have to create two methods. One method will be what if there is an error on this processor, and the next method will be what if we receive a new message. If we receive a new message, you can see this is exactly what we want to do. So that method, we have that. In order to add both of these methods to the processor, let me create a public async task and a method with the name of start. When we want to start, we will say checkout processor. On there, we want to create a method that should process a message. So they already have a handler for that, which is process message async. So we'll say plus equal to, we want to call the onCheckout message received. So we have added a handler in this case, and this handler must receive only one parameter, you can see, which is process message event args, and that is exactly how we have configured this. When we were creating this method, I told you do not worry how this args will be populated, just assume it will be. And this is exactly how it will be populated. Because we added that to the built-in process message async, it receives the message from the service bus and populates the process message event args and passes it in the parameter. So this method looks good to process a message. Now what should happen if there is an error? So for that, on the checkout processor, there is a handler for process error async, and we need to create a method here. Let's call this error handler. We do not have that, so let me create a new task, error handler method here. And this method will not get the process message event args. If you examine the error handler here, it will receive a parameter process error event args. So this will be process error event args. And right here, you can console.writeLine the exception. So args.exception.toString. And after that, you can mark the task completed. So we'll say return task.completed task. So with that, we have added the two required methods to process a message and what should happen if there is an error. Now the only thing that is required is to start the processor. So we'll say await. Checkout processor has a method which is start processing async. That will start the processing on the checkout processor. Just like we have created start, it makes sense to create a stop method as well. In there, we will stop processing async. We will remove this and we will just dispose the checkout processor. So we'll say await checkout processor dot dispose async. Now if you are disposing, you can avoid the stop. It will automatically stop and dispose, but you can add both of them. So perfect, we have a start method that will start looking for the messages, and the stop method, we will not be calling that until and unless we stop the application. So everything makes sense now. The only thing that is needed is when the project is running, this start should automatically be invoked. So we need to do some configurations in order for our checkout processor to be up and running as soon as the process starts. Let's do that in the next video.